Who are these countries that export their garbage like that to China, the United States, various European countries? Hi everybody, welcome back to Zevaulia. In this video, I would like to take you on a deep dive discussion on the issue of plastic. That's right, plastic, and more plastic. As we know, plastic has become a global phenomenon not for its positive qualities, but more for its negative impacts towards not only human daily life, but especially the ecosystem as a whole, including the well-being of wildlife and nature. If we look left and right, we still see various people really not giving a damn about this. You know, they're just going about their day and even denying the fact that we are having a crisis, various types of crisis, climate crisis, waste crisis. People are still developing their consciousness, developing the realization on the severity of the issue. And this is a homework for humankind. And even in Indonesia, where I come from, we are facing a lot of waste management issues, but both the central and also the local governments are doing their best to tackle this issue. However, the issue of waste is still very rampant. Plastics is a double-edged sword. It has not only given us benefits for decades, but in expense to that, it has given us also negative implications because of what? Because of our human selfishness, because of our miscalculations and overproduction, it has given various negative implications to nature. There are various things that plastics has given to the modernization of human life. It dates back to World War II when it helped the creation of nylon parachutes. It also helped with the transformation of the aviation industry by providing various spare parts that are lightweight. And it also helped the transportation industry as a whole by saving energy and also saving fuel, believe it or not. It has created the possibility of faux leather, so we don't have to use real leather from animal skin. It has also revolutionized medicine and also helped the preservation of various food and beverages through packaging. It has helped with the reducing of the costs of luxury items such as piano keys that used to be made out of ivory tusks of elephants. The rise of oil companies in the past few decades has actually benefited the production of plastics. Why is this? It's because oil companies, they have waste, right? They have oil waste, and among the waste is gases and also the creation of petroleum. And this is actually a building block to the creation of novel polymers. And polymers is what plastic bags and other plastic items are basically made out of. Polymers are long-chain molecules which consist of a line of monomers, and plastics consists of all of this. And these polymers make plastics its characteristics durable, strong, and also lightweight, which in itself is a double-edged sword because it is beneficial for human use, but it is also very hard to biodegrade. These are examples of various plastics that exist in our daily lives. Now let me tell you something interesting that maybe you don't know yet. And this is very significant to know for a lesson learned and a building block for us to find solutions in the future. So in 2010, there was a finding that was declared to the masses that 50% of the world's global trash in our seas and oceans derives from 5 countries, and these 5 countries are all Asian countries. At the tippy top, there's China, and then there's Indonesia, where I come from, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Sri Lanka. But something very significant that many people fail to know is that, let's take a look at China. China's waste is not just their own waste. Since 1992, they have been importing garbage, importing waste from other countries. They have been taking in 42% of global waste since 1992, and this does not include any other solid waste that exists. And then they recycle it into other things. Who are these countries that export their garbage like that to China? Among them are big countries, the United States, various European countries, including Germany and the UK. Hong Kong and Japan, their neighbors, also dump their waste to China. So what I'm trying to say is that we are more interconnected than ever. And this is a collective problem. We can't point fingers. It's not as simple as you think it is. Because I know that a lot of people, a lot of parties are pointing their fingers at China. China has its problems, environmental problems, but also a part of the environmental problem, the big environmental problem that they have, also has dirty hands from other countries. So this means that we as a collective, we have to find the solution together and help each other, because the waste that exists in nature right now, that circulates in our oceans, in our seas, in our rivers, that flies through the air, pollution and everything, it's all because each and every one of us. And China knows that this is a very big problem that they have. So in 2018, early 2018, they released a policy called the National Sword, where they decided to cut down the amount of garbage imports from various countries. And this is causing a global outcry, and it has caused a waste disposal crisis throughout the world, like in various parts of the world, especially to countries that export and dump their trash, majority of their trash, to China. Especially this ban is planned to be permanent by 2020. So we only have a few years left of 2020 to figure out how to manage this problem, especially the countries that have a habit for years and years long of dumping their waste to China. And not only China is taking in all this global trash, other Asian countries too are doing it, have been doing it. Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, amongst others. But the governments of these countries are also rethinking this, because let alone dealing with other countries' trash, they also have to deal with their own trash, which many countries are still mismanaging. And we can just imagine all of this trash, where do they end up? Apart from landfills, and some of them are recycled, goes into the sea. As of 2018, last year, as stated by the National Geographic, there is an estimation that 18 million pounds of garbage, of rubbish, is released into our global oceans from coastal regions. And 40% of these wastes are from packaging. And with all the garbage in the ocean, who suffers? What suffers? Marine life, animals, and also humans. But these are the wrongdoings of humans. But let's talk about marine life and animals. They don't do anything wrong, but they have to face and hold the brunt. 700-ish species are affected by our waste. And as I explained before about polymers, it takes years to biodegrade plastic. It takes approximately 450 years to biodegrade plastic into molecules, or even never. And we don't even know if we will still exist in 450 years. There is also an ongoing problem that humans are just realizing in these recent years, and many studies are undergoing about it. Microplastics. The rubbish that we throw into our oceans, not all of them are already in micro size. Some of them are normal size, but as the years go by, it degrades bit by bit into microplastics. And these microplastics can be consumed by marine animals, as small as zooplanktons until as big as whales. One of the biggest problems of microplastics actually derives from the beauty industry. Yes, you know this, microbeads. I have been avoiding microbeads like the plague. It's been a few years now, because I realized that microbeads really hurts marine animals, whether they intentionally or unintentionally want to eat it. So I hope that everybody who is watching this have not been using any skincare that contains microbeads in them. Microbeads in the beauty industry are used as a scrubbing effect or a microdermabrasion effect. And we should know that this is actually very harmful down the line. So there are other ways to scrub your face, scrub your skin, using natural ingredients. Late is better than never. I know that it is really a challenge to completely ban plastic from our daily lives because it is so integrated. However, don't lose hope, because there are many things that we can do. Still can recycle, reduce, and reuse plastic. So we will cut down the production of plastic itself, and hopefully this will mitigate the problem. And please, if you're on the streets, don't litter. If you see somebody littering on the streets, call them out nicely. If you see rubbish in front of you, pick it up and put it in the nearest trash can. These little things are actually really significant. If only we could hover above the oceans out there, the big vast oceans, the nearest seas around us, you will see the impacts that we have done throughout the decades. And it's not a lovely sight. Having worked in the environment industry for a few years now, I hope that these messages and the research that I've done from various sources that I could simplify would really open your eyes. You don't really have to make monumental changes. Bit by bit is also okay. So let's make change together from small steps. Let's learn together. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. But when we make small adjustments, I'm sure that it's possible. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, especially if you watch from the start till the end. I know that there's a lot of things to process, but if it's for the greater good, I have no problem doing this, and hopefully you have no problem to listen in. In the next video, I will be making a DIY on how to recreate your shopping bag that is non-plastic, so stay tuned for that. See you in that video. Bye!